All right, so let's dive into something I think a lot of us get kind of nervous about,
Mm.
and that is that higher ed job interview.
Yeah.
We're going to go a little bit beyond like the firm handshake,
Right.
all that stuff. We're going to really dig deep.
Yeah.
And we're using some really cool information that has been compiled by Jared Kanize,
Okay.
who is the CEO of academicjobs.com.
Great.
So think of it as a masterclass in how to make a stellar impression,
Yeah.
specifically for academic roles.
What I think is so cool about Jared's approach is that it's not tricks
Right.
or gimmicks.
Right.
It's really about what are hiring committees in higher ed really looking for?
Yeah, good point.
And how can you authentically, showcase your strengths in a way that will resonate with what they value?
Okay, so let's say you're at the end of the interview
Okay.
and they hit you at the classic, do you have any questions for us? And I know in the past I have been very tempted to say like, nope, I think you covered it all, thanks so much,
Uh-huh.
and like bolt out of the room.
I know.
But apparently that's a big missed opportunity.
It is a missed opportunity.
Okay.
It is, because if you think about it, in academia, curiosity
Yeah.
and a thirst for knowledge are really highly valued.
Right.
Right. So to end an interview with no questions at all can signal a lack of that very engagement that they're looking for.
So what would be some good questions to ask? Because I'm sure there's some bad ones too, right?
No, I've
Like
actually
don't ask about the parking situation.
don't ask about parking.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of asking something generic, like where's the bathroom or something like that, try this.
Okay.
What would success look like in the first 6 months of this position?
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah,
That shows that you're already ready to hit the ground running
exactly.
and actually contribute.
Right, and it sort of subtly demonstrates that you understand what's important to them.
Yep.
It's a world away from just, wanting a job.
Right.
This is, I'm really interested in this opportunity
Yes.
and what it entails.
That segues really nicely into the next point, which is avoiding that desperate academic vibe.
Right.
I think we've all been there.
We've all been there.
You're sending out 1,000,000 applications.
Yep.
You're just hoping that anything sticks.
Yeah.
But how do we avoid that without sounding desperate?
It's all about framing.
Okay.
Instead of saying, I'm looking for any job right now,
Right.
highlight your specific strengths and how they align with this role at this institution.
Okay.
So, for example, you could say, I'm eager to apply my experience in digital pedagogy
Right.
to enhance student engagement, which I know is a priority in your department.
Oh, so you've already shown them that you've done your research.
Exactly.
They're not just blindly applying everywhere.
Right.
And you've actually thought about how you could contribute to their specific goals.
Absolutely. And that you're discerning, you've done your homework.
Right.
You see a genuine fit between what you offer and what they need.
Okay.
And that goes a long way in higher ed.
Okay, so we've talked about questions and not sounding desperate.
Yes.
What else? What other kind of landmines should we be aware of, especially in the context of academia? I feel like we've all witnessed this, or maybe even been this candidate who...
Yeah, let's talk about bad-mouthing previous employers.
Okay.
The academia edition of that.
Okay.
Because it's not always as blatant as, trash-talking your former department chair.
Right. You mean like the subtle digs,
Exactly.
like about the lack of resources or how rigid the departmental structure was?
Precisely. And
Right.
while those things might be valid frustrations,
Right.
framing them as complaints can raise some red flags
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
about your attitude and
Yeah.
your ability to adapt.
Right.
And remember, higher ed often involves navigating, limited resources and complex systems.
Right. So how do we talk about those challenges in a way that doesn't make us sound like a complainer?
Yeah.
Or someone who's going to leave at the first sign of trouble.
Instead of dwelling on the negatives, focus on what you learned from those experiences
Okay.
and how you developed resilience
Right.
and problem-solving skills.
Okay.
So, for example, instead of saying, my department was incredibly bureaucratic,
Right.
you could say, navigating a complex departmental structure taught me the importance of clear communication and proactive collaboration.
That's a nice spin.
Right?
It takes a potentially negative experience and turns it into a demonstration of your ability to adapt
Yes.
and thrive in challenging environments.
And that's exactly what hiring committees want to see.
Yes.
Someone who can handle the inevitable complexities of academia with grace and in a solution-oriented approach.
Okay, shifting the focus from negativity to resilience.
Yeah.
Check. What else should we be mindful of when it comes to presenting ourselves effectively in a higher ed interview?
Let's talk about the importance of genuine research and enthusiasm. You wouldn't believe how many candidates stumble when asked about their knowledge of the institution.
Oh, you mean they haven't even, like, glanced at the website?
Yeah, it's like they think showing up is enough.
In the age of Google, that's a bold move.
It is a bold move, and it instantly signals a lack of genuine interest in preparation.
Right.
And remember, in academia, we value scholarship,
Right.
research,
Yeah.
a deep understanding of our field.
So that extends to the institutions we're interested in joining.
Exactly.
So what's the antidote to this blunder? How do we show them that we've done our homework and we're genuinely excited about this specific opportunity?
Before any interview, dive deep into their website.
Okay.
Faculty profiles, recent publications, even student testimonials.
Oh, wow.
And then weave those insights into your answers.
Okay.
For instance, you could say, I was particularly interested in Professor X's work on Y, and I see a lot of potential for collaboration in that area.
Oh, so it's not just name dropping.
Right.
It's showing that you've actually engaged with their work.
Yes, you've engaged. You're not just looking for any academic job.
No.
You're seeking a place where your research and your teaching align with their values and priorities.
Okay.
And that level of thoughtfulness makes a big difference.
All right. I'm adding deep dive research
Yes.
to my pre-interview checklist.
It's so important.
What other pitfalls should we be wary of, especially when navigating, like, the sometimes awkward aspects of an interview?
Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
It's okay.
Salary expectations.
Oh, yeah.
It's a necessary conversation, but how do we approach it without seeming like we're only interested in the paycheck?
Right, because you don't want to come across as greedy,
Right.
but you also don't want to undervalue your expertise.
Absolutely.
And so what is the smart way to handle this in academia?
Well, Jared specifically advises against bringing up salary too early in the process.
Okay.
So instead of launching into a discussion about numbers,
Right.
focus on your enthusiasm for the role itself. You could say something like, I'm incredibly excited about the potential of this position, and I want to ensure our expectations are aligned in terms of compensation.
Oh, it's much smoother.
Right.
It makes it sound like you're really interested in the opportunity, but of course, compensation is a part of it.
Of course, it's part of the equation,
Right.
but it's about conveying that your primary motivation is the work itself, the intellectual environment, the
Yeah.
chance to contribute to their mission.
Right.
Of course, practical matters like salary are important,
Yeah.
but they shouldn't overshadow the heart of what drives you in academia.
Okay. I'm definitely borrowing that phrasing.
Please do.
It's all about framing.
Yes.
Shifting the focus from what's in it for me to how can we both succeed?
I love that.
Okay, what other tricky interview questions
Okay.
should we be prepared for in higher ed?
Let's talk about the classic, what is your greatest weakness question.
I knew this one was coming.
I know.
I feel like it's a trap.
It does feel like a trap.
Like, are we really supposed to air our dirty laundry?
Yeah.
And then they're going to get scared off.
Well, I will say this, the I have no weaknesses approach
Right.
is a surefire way to come across as lacking self-awareness.
Yeah.
Remember, in academia,
Yeah.
we're all about continuous learning and growth.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That includes recognizing areas where we can improve.
So how do we strike that balance between honesty but not totally sabotaging ourselves?
Well, Jared suggests a 3-part structure.
Okay.
Identify a genuine weakness,
Wait.
outline the steps you've taken to improve,
Okay.
and demonstrate tangible growth.
All right.
So, for instance, if you struggle with public speaking,
Oh, yeah.
you could say, presenting to large audiences used to be a challenge for me.
Ah.
I've since joined Toastmasters and focused on developing my presentation skills, which has significantly boosted my confidence.
So you're framing the weakness as an area of active growth and improvement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something you're consciously working on. And within academia, there are plenty of relevant weaknesses you could choose from.
Yeah, like time management,
Absolutely.
imposter syndrome,
Yes.
the tendency to go down the research rabbit hole and never come out.
Yes. And it's all about framing it as an opportunity for growth,
Right.
which is something any institution values.
It's like you're saying, hey, I'm human.
Yes.
I have areas I'm working on,
Yes.
but I'm committed to continuous improvement.
That's exactly it.
And that's a much better message than pretending to be perfect.
Absolutely. And it demonstrates that you're reflective, you're proactive,
Uh-huh.
and you're not afraid to acknowledge areas where you can grow.
Right.
And those are valuable qualities in any academic setting.
Okay, so we've tackled weaknesses and framed them as opportunities for growth.
Yes.
What other interview challenges should we be prepared for?
Let's address the sometimes uncomfortable topic of unexpected career transitions,
Okay.
particularly being let go from a previous position.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
I can imagine it's tempting to avoid it altogether.
Yeah.
But honesty is usually the best policy.
It is.
Right.
It is. And while being let go carries a stigma,
Yeah.
how you address it speaks volumes about your character
Yeah.
and your resilience.
Yeah, that's true.
And remember, setbacks are a part of life, even in academia.
Right.
It's how we learn and grow from them that matters.
So how do we navigate this without digging ourselves into a deeper hole? What's the approach that resonates in higher ed?
The key is to acknowledge the situation without dwelling on negativity.
Okay.
Instead, focus on what you learned, the skills you developed,
All right.
and how you've grown since then.
Okay.
So, for example, you could say, my previous role ended unexpectedly, but it gave me valuable time to reflect on my career goals and to strengthen my skills in project management and online teaching, which I believe would be valuable assets to your department.
That's brilliant
Oh.
because it takes a potentially negative situation
Yes.
and reframes it as an opportunity for growth and development
Ex-
and highlights skills that are directly relevant to this opportunity.
You got it. And it shows that you're able to learn from difficult experiences
Right.
and that you're not defined by setbacks.
Right.
And it also subtly emphasizes that
Yeah.
you've used that time productively to enhance your skills
Right.
and become even more qualified for the role they're interviewing for.
Okay. I'm feeling much more confident about navigating these tricky interview waters.
Good.
What other aspects of the academic job search
Okay.
should we be prepared to discuss effectively?
Let's talk about articulating career goals
All right.
in a way that resonates with higher education institutions.
Ah, yes, the classic. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Question.
Yes.
I always feel like they're trying to assess my ambition level and whether I'm planning to jump ship as soon as a better offer comes along.
It can feel like a test,
Yeah.
but it's also an opportunity to showcase your vision
Right.
and your commitment to growth
Okay.
within the academic field and specifically within their institution. So how do we strike that balance between ambition but genuine interest in a long-term career at their school?
Avoid the extremes.
Okay.
Don't come across as aimless,
Okay.
but also don't fixate solely on rapid advancement.
Right.
Instead, emphasize your commitment to excellence in the immediate position,
Okay.
while expressing your broader career goals in a way that aligns with their mission.
So avoid vague statements like, I'm not really sure what I want to do,
Yeah.
as well as overly ambitious proclamations like, I want to be department chair in 3 years.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Instead, emphasize how your goals intersect with their values and priorities.
Okay.
For example, you could say, my immediate goal is to immerse myself in this role and contribute to the department's teaching excellence.
Uh-huh.
In the long term, I'm interested in developing a research program that involves undergraduate students, which aligns with the institution's commitment to hands-on learning.
Oh, that's such a good example.
Right.
Because you've highlighted your dedication to the present role, but also expressed aspirations
Yeah.
that resonate with their specific values and priorities.
Exactly.
It's like you're saying, I'm not just looking for a job, I'm looking for the right fit, a place where my goals align with yours.
Exactly. And that kind of commitment and alignment is incredibly appealing to any institution.
Right.
Especially in higher education,
Yeah.
where shared values and a sense of community are so important.
This is such insightful advice.
Thank you.
It's not just about selling yourself, it's about finding that true fit,
Yes.
a place where you can thrive and contribute meaningfully.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm ready for more.
Okay.
What other gems does Jared Canizet have for us when it comes to acing that higher ed interview?
All right, let's keep going. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about a question that I think can throw even the most seasoned academic off their game.
Okay.
Tell me about yourself.
Oh gosh, that one's so open-ended.
I know, right?
It's like, where do you even begin?
And it can feel like, oh my gosh, they want my whole academic autobiography right now.
Right.
I'm back in grad school, sweating over my dissertation defense.
Exactly. So how do we condense all of that into something that's actually compelling?
Yeah, so think of it as a mini elevator pitch,
Okay.
but tailored for a higher ed audience.
Okay.
So instead of, just listing accomplishments like a robot,
Right.
try to weave a narrative that really highlights your passion for your field
Okay.
and how your unique experiences make you a perfect fit for this department.
So it's less about I've published X number of papers
Right, right.
and more about kind of like what's your intellectual driving force.
Exactly. Like, what are you really, passionate about, and how does that connect with what they do?
Okay.
For instance, you could say something like, I'm a passionate historian specializing in 18th century maritime trade.
Huh.
My recent work explores how these networks influenced early colonial legal systems, and I'm eager to bring this interdisciplinary perspective to your department's strong focus on global studies.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's not just a dry recitation of facts.
Right.
It's like a little window into your intellectual journey and how that aligns with their strengths.
Exact, and it shows that you've thought about
Right.
how you fit into their ecosystem.
Yes.
Which is so crucial in higher ed.
Right. It's not just about you. It's about how you work with them.
Exactly.
Okay, so building on that, let's talk about another question that I think often trips people up.
Okay.
Why are you interested in this institution?
Right.
Prove you're not just mass applying
Is that?
question.
Yes.
I have heard some pretty generic answers to this one.
I bet.
So what makes a response really stand out, particularly in the competitive world of academia?
Specificity is key.
Okay.
So go beyond you have a good reputation
Right.
and demonstrate genuine knowledge.
Yeah.
So mention a faculty member whose work resonates with yours,
Uh-huh.
a unique program that excites you, or even a specific institutional value that aligns with your own teaching philosophy.
So, for example, I could say, I'm really drawn to your interdisciplinary digital humanities lab.
Yeah.
The work that Professor Smith is doing on visualizing historical data intersects perfectly with my research on early mapping techniques.
Yes.
And I see some really exciting possibilities for collaboration there.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You've done your research, you understand their strengths,
Yeah.
and you've connected it back to your own work in a meaningful way.
Right.
You're not just looking for a job.
Right.
You're envisioning yourself as part of their community.
It's like you're saying, I'm not just reading my expertise.
Huh?
I'm here to learn and grow alongside you.
Absolutely. And that collaborative spirit
Right.
is gold in higher ed.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're talking about showcasing your expertise.
Yes.
Let's talk about the teaching demonstration.
Okay.
This is where you bring your pedagogical A game.
It is.
This can be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, especially for those new to academia.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any advice on how to stand out?
It's like a mini performance,
That's
right?
a performance.
You've got to engage your audience, in this
Yeah.
case, the hiring committee.
Right.
Make the material come alive.
Mm-hmm.
Showcase your teaching style,
Yep.
all within a limited time frame.
Exactly.
So what are some common pitfalls that we should try to avoid?
Yeah. A big one is trying to cram in too much content.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, it's a demonstration, not a lecture marathon.
Right.
So focus on one key concept
Okay.
and illustrate your teaching approach through interactive activities,
Yeah.
thought-provoking questions,
Right.
a student-centered approach.
So quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
It's better to have them walk away thinking, wow, I would have loved to be in that class,
Yes,
than feeling like they just sat through a speed reading session of a textbook.
exactly. Engage their curiosity, make them think,
Yeah.
and demonstrate your passion for teaching and mentorship.
Okay.
And bonus tip,
Right.
try to subtly weave in elements that align with the institution's teaching values.
So if they pride themselves on small class sizes and discussion-based learning,
Yes.
maybe structure your demo around like a lively seminar-style conversation
Yeah.
rather than a formal lecture.
Exactly. You're showing them you understand their approach to education
Right.
and that you can seamlessly integrate into their environment.
So it's win-win.
It is a win-win.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
It's all about finding those subtle ways to show that you're not just a great teacher.
Yes.
You're a great teacher for them.
Exactly.
Okay, speaking of showing them that you're a perfect fit,
Yes.
how do we navigate those research-focused questions
Yeah.
in a way that truly resonates with a higher ed hiring committee?
All right. So here's where you get to shine as a scholar.
Okay.
So don't just list publications.
Okay.
Tell a story about your intellectual journey.
Okay.
What questions drive your research?
Uh-huh.
What are your key findings and how do they contribute to your field?
Right.
And importantly, how do they connect with their institutional priorities?
So it's less about kind of reciting your CV
Right.
and more about painting a picture
Yes.
of your research landscape.
Yeah.
Highlighting the peaks, the valleys, the unexpected discoveries along the way.
Yes. And I think that makes it much more engaging
Right.
for the committee.
Yeah, exactly. Because I would imagine sitting through, hours of interviews,
I know.
it could get really dry.
It can.
So, for example, instead of just saying, my dissertation was on the impact of social media on political discourse,
Right.
you could say, my research explores how digital platforms are reshaping political communication.
Yes.
Through ethnographic fieldwork, I discovered that young activists are using memes to mobilize voters in unexpected ways, which has fascinating implications for civic engagement and digital literacy areas your institution values deeply.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So you're weaving a narrative
Yeah.
that's both engaging but also relevant to their specific interests.
And it sparks a conversation.
Right. It's not just data.
Right.
Okay.
And here's a bonus tip.
Okay.
Be prepared to talk about the broader impact of your research. So how does it connect to teaching community engagement or even potential interdisciplinary collaborations within their institution?
That's such a smart point because
Right.
it's not just about what you've done. It's about what you can do for them.
Exactly.
It shows that you're thinking beyond your own individual scholarship.
Right.
And you're envisioning yourself as a contributing member
Yes.
of their intellectual community.
You gotta, it's about showing them that your research isn't just an isolated pursuit.
Right.
It's a dynamic force that can enrich their institution
Right.
in multiple ways.
Okay, I'm feeling energized and inspired.
Good.
This is so much more nuanced than the generic interview tips that you usually hear.
Yeah, I think it's really valuable to think about it in this way.
It really is. It's like we've gone from interviewing 101 to like a master class in academic job search strategy.
I like that.
Okay, what other insights does Jared Canize have for us when it comes to navigating the complexities of the academic job search?
Let's talk about a question that I think often makes people squirm a little bit. What is your biggest accomplishment?
Oh, I hate that one.
I know.
It feels like you're being asked to brag,
It does.
which isn't exactly, an academic strong suit. Like, am I supposed to just like list my publications and awards
Yeah.
like a shopping list?
Right, like I did this and I did that and I did this.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So what would be a more compelling answer in the higher ed context?
Again, it's not about boasting.
Okay.
It's about strategically showcasing your strengths
Right.
and connecting them to the institution's values.
Okay.
So remember, accomplishments are really milestones on your academic journey.
Yeah.
And they reveal a lot about what you prioritize
Right.
and how you approach challenges.
Okay.
So for example, if you're applying for a teaching-focused position at a small liberal arts college,
Right.
you probably wouldn't lead with your publication in a prestigious journal.
Right. Exactly. Like, what would be a better choice in that scenario?
Exactly. You might talk about developing a new interdisciplinary course
Okay.
that fostered student collaboration, or mentoring a student who presented their research at a national conference.
Ooh, that's good.
Highlight accomplishments that resonate with their specific values.
So it's about tailoring your response
Yes.
to the audience.
Yes.
And demonstrating how your achievements have prepared you to excel in this particular role at this institution.
You got it. And remember, it's not just about what you accomplished,
Okay.
but how did you demonstrate leadership, innovation, a commitment to mentorship.
Okay.
Those are the qualities that truly stand out in higher ed.
I'm seeing to see this question less as like an interrogation and more as an opportunity
Yes.
to really highlight my values in action
Yeah, exactly.
and connect them with what the institution cares about.
You got it.
Okay, so any final thoughts on how to leave a lasting impression and navigate this sometimes like murky world of the higher ed job search?
I think the main takeaway is preparation is key.
Okay.
The more you practice articulating your experiences and aligning them with the institution's values, the more confident and authentic you'll be.
And for those who are seeking even more wisdom,
Yes.
I highly recommend checking out academicjobs.com.
Yes.
Jared Canize, their CEO, has compiled a wealth of resources for anyone navigating the higher ed job market.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic resource.
Yeah, for everything from like crafting that stellar CV
Yeah.
to like mastering the art of the campus visit.
It's all there.
Okay, so as you prepare for your next academic job interview, take a moment to reflect on what unique strengths you bring to the table.
Yes.
What are you most proud of? What makes you stand out as a scholar and an educator?
Mm-hmm.
And how can you connect those strengths to the institution's mission and values?
By showcasing your authentic self
Yes.
and your genuine passion for higher education,
Right.
you'll be well on your way to landing that dream job.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into acing your higher ed job interview.
Absolutely.
Good luck out there.